Okay, maybe if Liam needs another minute, Alekos, do you want to start?
Yeah, happy to start. Can you hear me?
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'll keep it quick because there's so many other projects I need to present tonight.
Is that everything?
Oh yeah.
No, it's too late. You need to wait.
Okay, I'm just gonna go forward.
Yep.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm the founder of BDK. So I worked on that for a while, and now working on another project which is not strictly a Bitcoin project, but I think is very valuable for Bitcoin companies. So now I'm building a thing.
Just for the audience, BDK is a Rust library built on Rust Bitcoin.
Yes.
That is focused on building like wallets, right?
Yeah. So BDK is designed to be to kind of abstract away the complexity of building a Bitcoin wallet. So the idea is if you want to integrate Bitcoin to your app, you don't have to become a Bitcoin expert. BDK makes sure you don't fuck it up, you don't lose funds, or at least it tries as hard as possible. And I was mentioning this because my new project is called Enclavia, and it's a similar kind of playbook. But now I'm building enclave infrastructure, so trusted execution environment infrastructure. Again, with the same playbook as BDK, so trying to provide users with all the tools they need, abstracting away all the complexity. So I'm pushing it as far as you just build a Docker container, you push it, and Enclavia deals with all the enclave specific stuff, packages that you do an enclave. Everything is reproducible. 95% of it is open source, so all the sensitive stuff that ends up in the enclave are open source, so they're auditable, and the build is reproducible. Because of that, the only closed source part of the project is my like management, let's say, layer. So scheduling enclaves and launching and dealing with them. Yeah, so again, it's not necessarily, it's not a strictly Bitcoin project, but I think Bitcoin companies can benefit a lot from running inside of enclaves. For example, eCash mints would benefit a lot. But also if you're dealing with private keys, or any sort of like co-signing services, monitoring, if you have public keys of your users, you probably want to have them in an enclave so you can prove to your users you cannot see them, but still provide like server-side services to your users.
I guess also state chain kind of
Yeah.
things like Spark, for example.
Yeah.
Where you have to trust the server that they actually delete the keys, and when it's running in an enclave, you have like a hardware guarantee that keys are actually getting deleted.
Yes. So yeah, very early stage. I just launched the beta, so please don't expect anything perfect. But please come try it out if you're curious. It's enclavia.io.
I have questions. So what are the so Clavia is designed to sort of abstract over multiple enclave trusted execution environment backends. Is that right?
It will be eventually. Right now, it's only built on top of AWS Nitro. The idea is if you go direct, if you like go on AWS, get an enclave, you're gonna have to build a lot of things yourself. And instead, Enclavia builds that for you, so gives that to you like ready to go. Eventually, I'm also planning to integrate like hardware level AMD Intel enclaves, so then it becomes a more abstracted, the cross-platform layer. Right now is vertical on AWS.
What are the things that Clavia saves you from having to do manually?
So on probably the biggest part is establishing a secure channel, attested, encrypted, non-man-in-the-middleable channel to the enclave. So if you want to move data in and out of the enclave, generally you would have to build that yourself in some way, which is kind of like tricky crypto code that you can easily make mistakes. There's also the point of if you just get an enclave on AWS, you don't get any storage, you don't get any networking, so like connecting to the outside world. Enclavia does that. It's optional, so if you don't need it, you can completely disable it. But if you do need storage, you can enable storage, and it's like obviously encrypted, so nothing outside of the enclave of your enclave can read your storage, and you can also make outbound connections. Speaking of storage, when you want to upgrade, so you want to change your code, your PCRs, so your like hashes, the hashes of your code are going to change. So you have to deal with rekeying your storage, because generally you tie your storage to a specific version of your code, so that only that exact version of the code can read your storage. But then when you want to release an update, you need to rekey, like re-encrypt or rekey your storage to the new version. All of that is managed by Enclavia. Also, the building, making builds reproducible, that's all like done for you. So there's an interesting blog post. Now I'm kind of rambling, but there's an interesting blog post on our website where I go over like specifically the main points that we try to cover.
If I remember correctly, you also implemented a way to deal with like rollback attacks. So
Yes.
For people who don't know, I think like maybe you explain what the rollback attack is and how you solve it.
Yes. So rollback attacks are basically when you have an enclave. This enclave has some storage attached to it that's only accessible by the enclave itself. So from the outside world, nobody can read or understand what's going on in the storage because it's encrypted. But what the outside world could do is roll back the storage to a previous version, because the enclave itself doesn't have this storage like internally. So it's generally implemented as asking an outside untrusted host to store some data for the enclave, and then you try to retrieve it. When you go retrieve it, when the enclave goes to retrieve the storage, it could be rolled back. So the malicious host could give you an older version of the storage, and you would have no way of knowing this has happened. So this is dangerous for any, but if you have anything in that storage that, for example, I don't know, you want to enforce a maximum number of attempts to prevent brute forcing. If I can roll back your storage, I can like roll back the counter and try indefinitely. For Lightning channels, I can roll back your storage, and then you end up with stale Lightning data, which can lead you to lose funds. So there's a bunch of attacks depending on the use case. And what
I guess in general, when you have like a stateful system, whenever you can like fuck with the state by like rolling it back, then the system becomes one.
How do you prevent that attack?
Yeah, so the way we do it is we use another enclave as I'm going to simplify it a little bit, but let's say, so we use another enclave as the storage host. So this gives you the benefit of ensuring what the storage host is doing, because it's an enclave. It can give you an attestation saying, this is my version of the code, this is what my code does. So you can audit the code. You can be like, okay, this is not a malicious storage host. And the trick is this would kind of turn into a recursive problem, because you use an enclave as a storage backing of another enclave, so then you need yet another one, etc. So the trick here is this storage service doesn't have any persistent storage itself. It's all kept in memory. And to provide redundancy, we actually have a cluster of those enclaves that replicate data across each other. So it's, again, simplifying a little bit. There's also another blog post describing this in more detail, but conceptually, it's like your enclave can attest the behavior of the storage system because it is another enclave itself. And data is replicated across a bunch of AWS availability zones. So if one goes down, your data is not lost.
Seth, you've had your hand up. Do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Something I have not seen anybody mention or discuss, but I'm sure it's been explored already, is using something like this to run like a Fulcrum electrs. That's sort of an indexer that normally can be very bad for privacy for users. But again, if we could run it in an enclave and prove that we don't have the ability to log, that we can't see anybody's addresses that they're sending in to query for balance, is that something that, I mean, it seems like that should be very, very doable here and not that complex, especially with something like Enclavia, but just kind of curious if that's an area that's been explored around that, because that would be a huge privacy improvement for regular everyday Bitcoin users that aren't necessarily going to use silent payments, at least not yet.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, that's definitely doable. It's something I'm kind of working on. I wanted to at some point release like a mempool.space instance and be like, oh guys, look at this. Instead of mempool.space, it behaves exactly like all the other ones, but this is actually an enclave, so I can't see your activity. So I have this kind of side project in the back of my mind. If somebody wants to beat me to it, it would be great. Otherwise, at some point I'll get to it myself. Yeah, it actually provides two benefits. On one end is the privacy benefit, which is probably the biggest one, as you were saying. There's also another benefit of proving honesty. So if I can prove to you that I'm running this exact version of Bitcoin Core, then you know, sorry, you know I'm not like lying on. So if I can attest to you that this response came from this version of Bitcoin Core, then you know there's the operator hasn't let's say tampered with, I don't know, like injecting fake transactions, for example, or which is something a block explorer operator could do. It could like provide fake pages for fake transactions that don't actually exist in the blockchain. So you get both more privacy and less trust required in the operator.
What for Amazon Nitro? What is the actual like trusted execution environment implementation that the product bottoms out in? Like, is it AMD? Is it Intel? I'm just curious what the implementation is.
It's their own thing, so they're not, unfortunately, they're not very transparent about it. It's just their Nitro hypervisor. The way it works is you just provide like a Linux image it's running in a VM that doesn't have a persistent disk, so it boots off the initial init RAM-FS, so it boots off RAM. It doesn't have any storage, doesn't have any networking. You only have like a channel to the parent instance that spawns the enclave. I'm assuming they probably build it obviously on top of hardware primitives, but they're not very, and they actually support it across all of. You can also get ARM enclaves. So if you get an ARM instance like a Graviton instance, then you can launch an enclave there. So they, I guess, generalize on hardware on AMD, Intel, and their own Graviton CPUs, and they just do it magically for you.
So I guess the security model is sort of, I mean, in this case, you're kind of like trusting Amazon that they have a secure implementation of a trusted execution environment, and they don't, and that they have good like security of their keys, whatever keys that they use to sign the attestation that this is working, that this is running in an enclave. Is that fair?
Yes, yeah. Using AWS Nitro, the attestation is signed by Amazon, so you're trusting them. If you use like Intel, I think it's TDX, the attestation is signed by Intel. So there's always like a root of trust somewhere. The way I'm designing my platform Enclavia is I'm not a trusted party. So I provide code that runs in the enclave, but everything is open source, everything can be attested. So I'm like an operator hosting provider, but I don't introduce any more assumptions that you would get going straight to Amazon. So Amazon is always trusted. If you use it directly, that's it. You're directly dealing with Amazon. If you use it through my service, you're still only trusting Amazon because everything else I do is open source and auditable.
Cool, awesome. Any final words? Maybe we should move on to the next of our esteemed guests.
Yeah.
Definitely feel free to share links if you have anything for people to follow up on.
Yeah, I've never used a Twitter space, so I'll figure out how to do. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I'll leave the stage to somebody else.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Liam, I think Liam was next on the docket. How's it going, Liam?
Hello, is my microphone working?
Your microphone is definitely working.
Yes.
Your
Okay.
dulcet tones are coming through loud and clear.
Thank you. Okay, I've also actually never spoken on a Twitter space before, I think, or I've tried, but it didn't work. Yeah, I'm I guess I'll talk about this effort that I'm a part of with Robin and Light and Yingtong and some other people to write a BIP. Well, not necessarily a BIP, but just to do research into SNARK Verifier, kind of soft fork for Bitcoin. I don't know if people probably heard of BitVM. Robin and I have worked on that for a while, and the goal is basically to be able to verify zero knowledge proofs on Bitcoin. That's what people use BitVM to do. And unfortunately, it can only get us like so far. There's still like trust assumptions. There's trusted, signing committee and operators and liveness, and the whole thing is just very complicated. So what we're working on now is trying to figure out the best way to activate like the ability to verify proofs directly on Bitcoin with like a minimally invasive change. And yeah, so I mean, I think that
Why is that interesting for me as an end user?
So Bitcoin, for example, lacks like strong privacy. And for me, the reason that this work is interesting is because it would allow us to deploy a private transaction protocol like shielded CSV, for example, which Robin and I and Yingtong are also working on. But yeah, so we could make privacy for Bitcoin a reality, like Zcash level plus privacy, and that has a whole host of benefits for everything. Also scalability. We could support more transactions. Those are the two main things that I think a SNARK verifier is interesting for.
It sounds very interesting.
Oh, thanks, Robin. I'm glad you think so.
Maybe some like tough questions. How do ZKP? How do proposed sort of verification algorithms systems on Bitcoin? How do they deal with? Are they quantum resistant or not? And I'm not really like a quantum resistant bear, but it's a very important bull. But it's like a quantum like. I don't think it's coming. I think it's all bullshit. But I think it's like a major source of FUD that people have to deal with.
No, it's a super valid question. So there are a range of approaches that we're considering. There's two basic categories. One is like you have I'll call it like a monolithic verifier. So you would like pick a specific, for example, Stark proof format and have a verifier for that. Then the other approach that we're considering is like primitives. So we would find a set of minimal operations that would allow people to write their own verifier scripts. And so in the first option, it would just be a matter of enabling a post-quantum proof verifier. But what we're really looking more into is the second option is just adding a small set of operations. It turns out that most SNARKs can be like most verifiers can be written with a pretty limited set of operations. So like fields arithmetic, like modular, addition, multiplication. And that gets you pretty far. So I guess in short, yes, we are hoping to enable verification of post-quantum proofs with this.
Seth, you want to jump in?
Yeah, two quick questions. One you partially answered there with the two different approaches that can be taken. I think a question I've always had with the idea of some sort of a SNARK or Stark verifier is how do you choose which proof system you'll be able to verify? Because I know that even now there's constantly debate over what the best approach is, Groth 16, Plonk, like there's a lot of different options and they each would require slightly different verification paths. So one question is like, how would you choose which one if you had to choose one? And then I guess the other main question is just what would be the main downsides of having even the monolithic verifier enabled on Bitcoin in general? Like what are the main potential trade-offs that could come with it?
Yeah. So in terms of picking one, I mean that is why I have generally advocated for the second approach, because it kind of avoids this messy and complicated question. It's true, SNARKs change or have changed pretty dramatically. Although the pace of change has slowed down. But yeah, like picking what fields, picking how many bits of security, I don't know, like all kinds of different parameters there are to choose. Like if we weren't worried about quantum, the natural choice would probably be to enable Groth 16, which is kind of the smallest, well, not literally the smallest proofs, but it's kind of a de facto standard. But unfortunately, it's not post quantum. So yeah, that's why I prefer the primitives approach. Let people write their own. Core devs don't have to maintain complex cryptographic code. Can avoid these questions at the protocol level. Then the downsides of having a SNARK verifier. So I think that the biggest downside is probably something like Meevil. You could, with a SNARK verifier, you can make a bridge to any kind of side system that you want. So, like I said, you could have private transactions, you could have scalable transactions. You could also have a full rollup, like a ZK rollup. And depending on how you design the rollup, it could be the case that this introduces like messy crypto-economic things. In my opinion, this is not really a property of the SNARK verifier because you can get the same effects from a rollup that uses a trusted bridge, a multi-sig bridge, or a BitVM bridge for that matter. The only argument, in my maybe biased opinion, I've heard that made sense is that if we did have a SNARK verifier and we did make a rollup that had bad economics, it might be the case that more people would use it because the bridge would be better. But so yeah, that's what I would say is the main downside. I guess, yeah, I don't know, Robin or anybody else have different opinions, but I think it's like something that is definitely worth doing. That's why I'm working on it.
I think maybe the most important design goal of such a BIP should be bike shed resistance, in the sense that, there's so many options and things like this just get debated endlessly to death. And I don't know how to do that, but it seems like the biggest risk factor for such a BIP.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing in terms of designing the primitives. Like we want like a natural set of primitives that is both powerful enough to capture everything we want and feels as minimally arbitrary as possible.
Stu, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was about to do some bike shedding. But what does the Great Script Restoration give you what you need, or simplicity, or something like that, or like what's the reason for having a new bit instead of using one of those?
I will say, at least at this point in the research, we haven't like ruled out simplicity or Great Script Restoration. Like we're very much looking into that, and like that. So those are both capable of doing SNARK verifiers. Certainly simplicity and Great Script Restoration can. I think that while the work is still ongoing, in my opinion, there might be more or different things that we would want. So like one thing, for example, is like field arithmetic, which is not natively featured in the Great Script Restoration, and also not in simplicity for arbitrary fields. And that's something that would be really good for snarks and we can support efficiently. So maybe that's something that we care about that other people have not considered. Although I don't see why it couldn't be, for example, like in addition to the Great Script Restoration, for example. Yeah. So anyway, no, we're thinking about that too. Yeah.
Implementing a SNARK verifier with just Great Script Restoration is quite inefficient. You end up with a script of like 100 kilobytes or something. And that is a bit unfortunate because the entire point of SNARKs is that the proof is so small. And if you have to pay for like a huge script that is just a very inefficient implementation of something that could be way more efficient, is kind of wasteful.
We also want to avoid as much as possible, like kind of hacks. It's a subjective term, but like ideally we wouldn't want to like split the script into a bunch of little pieces and then use some kind of covenant thing to like link them together. For example, like that's something you can do, and that's something people did do, like with the SNARK Verifier written using only opcat. But if possible, we would want to avoid that. So having smaller scripts is important for that reason as well.
So I sort of have a question. I don't have a lot of intuition for what kind of privacy system practically this would mean on Bitcoin. Would it sort of be like I don't know how to describe it, like a Zcash shielded pool in like a single transaction that like everybody could sort of interact with? And
maybe our next speaker can.
Who is our next speaker, Robin?
I guess Yingtong would be a good choice. Kind of like fits together. Chris wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, let me just interject here. So guys, like if you want more of these spaces, like talking about CKPs or like shielded CSV or like template hash or even like Bitcoin insurance. Like there is a button down right, share the space with all of your followers. I see like NVK and I see like Sergio, like you have hundreds of thousands of followers. Let's beat those retarded BIP110 spaces that have like generally like 500 people jonesing on the latest pleb slop. So, you know, let's make these show and tells more successful.
This is not controversial enough. It needs to bleed in order to lead. So unless you can create some proper controversy here between the people speaking, it will be hard.
I'm gonna have a fight with Casey later on.
Yeah,
I see NVK,
I see
NVK and BitBox. I see BitBox in the chat too. So like this is like almost IETF.
I just changed the title of the space, so hopefully this should help us out.
Who's BitBox?
The best-selling hardware wallet in Europe. So please share the space. Thank you.
What's Europe?
All right, guys. All right, guys.
Come on.
Share the space. Yingtong, do you want to tell us what such ZKP verifiers on Bitcoin would allow us to build?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, yes. Loud and clear.
Yeah, so Robin and Liam and I have been working on a meta protocol for private payments on Bitcoin called Shielded CSV. And such a protocol would need basically a bridge to Bitcoin if it wants to use L1 Bitcoin as the native currency. And this is one example of what can be enabled by a native ZK-proof verifier on Bitcoin, is that basically we could verify the transactions happening on this meta protocol. And we could bridge money in and out of it. So Shielded CSV basically strips down the private payments protocol such that its footprint is the bare minimum necessary to ensure double spend prevention as well as the validity of transactions. So I used to work at Zcash, and the important way that Shielded CSV differs from Zcash is it has a much smaller footprint, and it's allows for way more throughput on Bitcoin as well as other environments with very limited block space. So how we achieve this is we actually remove the proofs and proof validation from consensus, and we move all of that to the client side, and we use recursive ZK snarks to ensure that all of this is done in a consistent way and follows the protocol rules. And the only thing that we're using consensus for is to ensure uniqueness and double spend prevention.
So in this sort of model, you get, you sort of deposit on Bitcoin into the bridge, funds move around, and then later people withdraw from the bridge from the bridge system into Bitcoin proper. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And we would also be writing the nullifiers and state commitments into the Bitcoin block space. So we would use Bitcoin as the native asset, and we would also use Bitcoin as the data availability layer and the canonical sort of root of truth for this meta protocol.
It's a little bit hard for me to. So I guess so. For example, like I might send a UTXO like into the bridge, and then later, in order to maintain privacy, for the system to give people privacy, somebody else has to be able to like take ownership of that UTXO and then move it back out of the bridge. How do you deal with amounts not matching? You know, like, so for example, like I create like a 1 UTXO Bitcoin, bridge it, and then 2 people want to take, you know, 0.5 Bitcoin out. Like it seems like it's sort of like with an account-based system where everything is just sort of like, you know, account balances, it seems very easy. You don't run into these like sort of UTXO splitting problems. How do you deal with sort of UTXO deposit and withdrawal size mismatches, I guess I would say?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you can basically think of depositing into this meta protocol as depositing into one big shielded pool, and similarly for withdrawing from it. And within the meta protocol, we do use an account-based system. But yeah, I don't know, Robin, do you want to speak to this? I'm not as familiar with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I would say it's like 2 different problems. Like on the one hand, shielded CSV is basically like an abstract token protocol. You can have like any kind of token in there, and you can transact it privately in a scalable way. And of course, we want to have Bitcoin in that token protocol. We want to have Bitcoin tokens, not like arbitrary tokens, and that's why we need a bridge. But it's like 2 different components, and like the shielded CSV protocol in itself is like independent of the bridge. And your question is about the bridge design, and that of course depends on what kind of bridge we can use. Right now, the most trusted bridges we can build are BitVM-style bridges, and they have fixed amounts, and there is just no way around that. Maybe you can like split it in half once or something, but like not much more fine granular than that. However, that is not a fundamental problem. Like if we had better opcodes, if we would have, for example, great script restoration or something, we could definitely build bridges where you can peg out arbitrary amounts, and it's just a matter of how much fees you want to pay, or like if the fees you're paying justify running the bridge contract.
That makes sense. I mean, I think, you know, as a first target, fixed, you know, withdrawal amounts or like power of 2 deposit and withdrawal amounts probably are, you know, somewhat reasonable. I think that's how eCash tends to
work.
Right. Yingtong, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Well, just to say that Ideal Group has been heads down working on this protocol spec and proof system and prototype, and we'll have really exciting updates to share very soon.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you want to share a link to a talk or something, please go ahead and share it here in like the tweet. All right. I feel like from the topics, it would make sense for Sergio to go next, because you want to present a similar project, also like a client-side validation project.
Is Sergio on stage? I can't see him. I saw him before, but now I can't see him.
He's a listener. Let me make him.
You can forcibly make him come on stage. Maybe we should have somebody else go while we figure Sergio out.
I just approved him. Does it work, Sergio?
Sergio.
It was crapping out for me too. Twitter Spaces is pretty rough today.
Yeah. Stu, you want to jump in?
Yeah, just to say that we're all gathered here today to pay our respects to CTV. Yeah, it was a good run, 6 years or so. But now it is time for French CTV. So I want to see some baguettes in the bio. We need to get this thing moving. But no, I just have a question about French CTV, template hash. What is the deal with the annex, and why does it need to be committed to? Does anyone know?
Do we want to talk about like political
No,
questions?
No political questions.
No
political questions.
That's a technical question. This is technical. What?
This is a religious question, man.
Okay. All right, it's not. We're not getting caught. It's not. Template hash is over.
All right, we got Sergio on stage.
Hello.
Sergio, what are you doing, Sergio? What's going on?
Hi everyone. Thanks, Robin. Thanks everyone. This is so cool. Okay, so we've been talking about client-side validation. I think most of us agree that this technology, which dates back, I don't know, 2015, it's so exciting, and it's really the most interesting for me scaling Bitcoin paradigm. So we started working. I mean, probably Robin and all knows this in a protocol based on BitVM, which is BitVM-X. That we base our research on development on the BitVM-X CPU, RX5 CPU, and then of course we moved forward with the double circuits, and now we have an implementation of double circuits on top of BitVM-X, which is open source. You can try it. But as soon as we saw this huge amount of agentic commerce that is starting, we thought, okay, this is the best use case for Bitcoin. This is something that can really move Bitcoin forward, apart from the store of value narrative, just to use it really globally. So we started also after all the attacks, or I would say improvements to quantum computing. So we decided to base our protocol on quantum resistant SNARKs or basically STARKs, and to use this client-side validation paradigm. So essentially, we have a client-side validated system, which we call it Bit2, that is really massive scale. Like you can do without batching, without any form of batching transaction together. We can do over Bitcoin, on top of Bitcoin, 1,600 transactions per second. And if you do batching, which means that you create a transaction with multiple outputs, you can do like 100,000 transactions per second. So we are super excited. We have basically Bit2 has two models. You can register with a timestamp server, so you get your transaction data committed in a Merkle tree, and that is then committed on the chain. And so you get basically this amount of scalability. But if you don't want to leak any kind of metadata, you don't want to leak your IP connecting with a timestamp server or whatever, basically you can just put your own transaction data on chain and have the same system, basically the same client-side proofs, but with your actual data that you posted on Bitcoin transactions. So in a sense, when you use this model directly talking to Bitcoin and posting Bitcoin data, you are very much similar to shielded CSV. And when you put all your transaction data on a commitment tree, and then you get this committed into blockchain, you are much more like IntMax2 side, or maybe RGB with batching, right? So you have the two models that are living together. And because we are using STARK proofs, we added a confidentiality to our STARKs and recursion. So we have full confidentiality. Costs are really very low, but this is something that we inherit from client-side validations. Like it is sub-cent transaction cost, so it's great for agentic commerce. It is kind of truly peer-to-peer in a sense. It's more like a cyberpunk idea. Like you basically build your transaction locally and you transfer your data to the destination, and you get this commitment from the timestamp server. There will be many timestamp server. You only have to choose one, and you can switch to any timestamp service at any time. So it's really fair in the sense like anyone can compete and bring his own timestamp service if you want to compete in this infrastructure service. We do support stable coins. Like we are in talks with a stablecoin issuer to get them, but we want this to be Bitcoin centric. So yeah, we can issue new tokens, but it's not our idea. And the good thing is that we don't need collateral. And if you know Lightning and the Lightning transaction costs are really related to the collateral that is sitting there. So the good thing about client-side validation is like no collateral, much lower transaction costs. So I think that I've summarized everything in just a couple of minutes.
It seems like a big sort of it seems like there's maybe some usability questions that can come up with client-side validation in terms of how do people who are transacting how do they send state to each other? How do they retrieve state? How is state sort of durably stored if it's not on chain? What's sort of the model that you're thinking about for that?
So the model that really scales up to these numbers is a model where you basically build your transaction locally, connect to a timestamp server, and then when you send your information to the timestamp server gives you a promise, a bonded promise that allows you to pack everything, your proof, your transfer proof, plus this bonded commitment proof, promise, and then you give this through a peer-to-peer channel, or it can be email, it can be anything, to your peer. And so that peer has two options. Either it can wait until the information is really confirmed on chain, and it has all the elements to verify that when the transaction is confirmed, or he can accept this bonded promise and say and keep and use that amount of bitcoins, or give a service in exchange, or give a digital whatever in exchange to this payment, which is basically what agents will buy. They will buy small amounts of data or things that can be given after they have this bonded. So the size of the security bond, or I would say the penalty, it's fixed because the timestamp server does not have any information about the transactions that are being exchanged. So basically, it's a fixed amount that the timestamp server chooses. It can be $100, it can be $1,000, whatever. So when you receive a payment, generally agentic payments are very low in value. Like we are talking about between $1 or 30 cents to $5. So if you have a promise that you can exercise and you can use on chain then to retrieve $1,000, then it's pretty, from the rational perspective, it's pretty good to accept this payment. So that's how the flow goes.
So do users need to run some sort of always online service in order to receive payments if they need to communicate these sort of packages of data that they've gotten from the timestamp server?
So we have embedded in the destination address, there is the service that the sender is using. In the recipient address is the service that the recipient is using to receive this package of information, the transfer proof. So if I want to receive it by email, I can put my email there. Or if I want to receive it by Matrix or some other federated network, or I want to receive it by any other decentralized information transfer system, then I just put my address there, and then this information will flow through that channel. So basically, the receiver chooses which channel. Obviously, there must be some sort of approved channels, but this is free for the community to decide which will be the standard channels to receive the proofs, right? You can even put a couple of channels for communicating, and you don't need to be online if you choose, I don't know, email or some other sort of channel that has some forwarding or relay system, right?
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Cool. Do you have any information to share, like any links to share?
So in the Bit2 website, there are like 20 articles where we discuss all the design decisions. I think like at this point, how we designed Bit2 it's super interesting. If you want to design your own client-side validated system, there was a lot of choices that we made during the design phase that are very interesting. And the B2 paper is going to be published before the end of the year. If you are really want to look into it, maybe I can share a draft, but it's not ready. So, but there is a lot of information in B2 website. And I want to point out that this is going to be fully open source. We want to, build a community around this. We have some sort of a client-side scripts, so you can extend the system, adding a little bit of client-side functionality. You won't be able to add a fully, decentralized exchange, but you can, add a lot of policies to restrict what agents can buy, or you can have certain sort of introspection. You can check, the time, or so you can set up your own policies to delegate payments to specific agents. And so it gives you enough functionality to build an ecosystem on top of this. But yeah, this is something we will publish between now and the end of the year, probably.
Sweet. If you have any links to share, please feel free.
Thank you very much. Hope you test it.
Of course. Very curious about it. Thanks for sharing. So since we are kind of like in the privacy topic,
one thing, Jesse has been on stage for a while. I feel bad. We should go to Jesse.
Thanks, guys. I'll be super quick. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. But what we've been working on is, and I'm really glad you mentioned this at the start of kind of the magic of paying with Lightning at Square merchants. And first kind of shout out to Block for onboarding 4 million merchants and giving them with the ability to receive Lightning payments. But the main issue with that is that it only serves people in the US. So it's only US merchants. And what we've been working on is a way to extend that so that anybody with self-custody can be able to do the same thing that all of the Square merchants are doing and accept Lightning payments and avoid volatility, Bitcoin's volatility, if they want. So we packaged up together a way to use Taproot Assets to do that. So people are simply exchanging Lightning invoices and are able to receive Lightning payments, but only on their end. It goes into their choice of Taproot Asset stablecoins or just Bitcoin. So if people want to receive Bitcoin and keep Bitcoin payments, it's just a Lightning payment. If people want to receive a stablecoin, it's still just a Lightning payment that they're exposing. So this we're setting up a Lightning node, give them complete self-custody of that system, and we're running all the liquidity operations behind the scenes. So that means that anybody around the world can do the same thing that Square merchants are doing, is saving on payment processing and being able to maintain dollar stability or some stable asset or receive Bitcoin payments very inexpensively. And that's all just with Taproot Assets behind the scenes. And really, we're using our whole crowd of liquidity providers and decentralizing those liquidity providers to be able to do that cross-asset payment through Lightning. So that really sets people up for agentic payments and also sets them up to be able to do cross-currency payments over Lightning.
What's the state of Taproot Assets and Lightning? I sort of, I heard about it a while ago, and I haven't heard so much about it. And I haven't been sort of keeping up, so I don't know, like, does it work? Like, what assets can you use, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
What's stable?
I think Taproot Assets maybe confused a lot of people, because like one way to think about it is it really is just a treasury management solution. So you've got these other assets that really only you as the recipient see, or even as the sender. So these are like assets that you're holding, but the whole protocol that you're using is just Lightning. So we're using, kind of extending off of what Speed Wallet has done by incorporating USDT and USDC into their systems. So those are like the two assets that we have available. And USDT has like a whole bunch of regulatory issues globally, but USDC is much more broadly accepted. So we packaged both of those up, but like anybody can create a Taproot asset. It's
But like, is there USDC or Tether on?
Yeah, so there's USDT and USDC. Both of them are like they're wrapped assets, so there's still there's still some USDT on Ethereum.
Trusted party. There's some trusted party that like holds ERC20 tokens or something.
Yeah,
like that.
what we did it with using the exact same assets that Speed Wallet was using internally. But I think at the end of the day, what matters is that people get US dollar stability from a regulated party. And so that's what's happening with the by using the same assets that Speed Wallet is using.
Interesting. Cool. Anyone has any questions? I'm not sure if the listeners can ask questions actually.
No, the listeners they're silent. They're the plebs, just the unwashed masses. They're not allowed to speak.
Okay.
Thank you guys very much for hosting the show and tell space. I think it's great for people to be able to share, some of the products that are being developed in the deep bear market.
Yeah, 100%. People never stop building. You know what I mean? That's what you got to remember. We've got a bunch of psychopathic retards that build even when we're in the depths of the bear market.
And even though Bitcoin is dead.
All right, who is up next, Robin?
I'm trying to make people speakers, but somehow it doesn't work. I approved Akram like 100 times already, but somehow he's not becoming
Elon is not sending his best engineers,
Okay, then Light is on stage. Light, do you want to talk about the latest news from Alpen?
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks for inviting me to this, Robin and Casey. This is cool that you guys organize this. Yeah, so I work at Alpen Labs. We're building a rollup on Bitcoin using Glock-based protocol for bridging BTC between the main chain and our rollup, which is called Alpen. And we currently have a test net that is live. It's using a BitVM-2 based bridge right now, but we're going live with a Glock-based bridge pretty soon. And Glock is kind of two words that get smashed together, garbled lock, basically using garbled circuits to lock and unlock Bitcoin on L1. We can talk more about the tech details of that if you want to, but basically Alpen is going to enable full programmability for any BTC or other assets that get minted on the rollup. And the kind of applications that we're interested in are like peer-to-peer financial applications, borrowing, lending, trading, derivatives, trying to get as much Bitcoin out of the hands of centralized custodians and back into peer-to-peer financial markets as possible.
We cut off or?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So when mainnet?
TBD, when it's ready, I guess is the easiest way that I could say that.
Does what you're building rely on sort of a future, consensus change or addition, or is it something that you think that can be rolled out without making any changes?
Good question. What we're building right now, what is live today, and what we're planning to go to mainnet with will work using Bitcoin's current consensus rules.
Nice.
We're chewing lots of glass and dealing with the crazy contraption that is BitVM. No offense, Robin, but yeah, we're dealing with the complexity of script as it is today, and doing a lot of cryptographic magic to try to squeeze things into the current Bitcoin consensus rules. We would love to have some soft forks, ZKAP verification, recursive covenants. Those things will make the protocol a lot simpler and reduce basically get rid of trusted operators, make the protocol permissionless and trustless to use. Currently, we're using kind of a one of n trust model. So there's a federation of operators, and the users have to only trust one of them to be online and following the protocol in order for the bridge to work correctly. But we would, of course, love to get rid of those operators. No offense to the operators that are planning to join, but it would just simplify the protocol and, of course, make it trustless, like we like Bitcoin to be.
Cool. Anyone has any questions? All right. Yeah, if you want to share any links, feel free to do so in the thread. And any last words?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody is out there working on peer-to-peer financial applications, I'm interested. If anybody's got a wallet or an exchange or any kind of service that could integrate peer-to-peer financial markets, like borrowing against Bitcoin or trading Bitcoin and Bitcoin-backed stable coins, we're very interested in talking to folks who would be interested in integrating. So yeah, hit me up. My DMs are open. Thanks again, Robin and Casey.
Nice. Thanks for presenting. Stu, do you have anything that you're working on that you want to talk about, or are you just here to troll?
Yeah, just here to troll.
Okay, that's fine too, to be clear. That's okay.
By the way, I figured out the issue. There can be only 10 speakers. So I need to periodically kick out people.
Yeah,
so
you can kick me.
No. I like, if we're gonna have some peanut gallery, I like Stu, I like Stu in the peanut gallery.
Yeah, maybe Akram, do you want to share what you're working on Citrea?
Yes. Can you hear me well?
Yep.
Can hear you well.
Nice. Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Akram. I'm one of the co-creators of Citrea, which is a ZK rollup on Bitcoin. It's a scaling solution, and we're live. We're on mainnet. We have a BitVM-2 based bridge, but now for the past few months we've been working on the next upgrade of Clementine, Clementine is the name of our bridge, which uses the BitVM-3 paradigm. And what we wanted to achieve is, first of all, with BitVM-2, every disapproval transactions or those BitVM transactions were 4 megabytes. Thus, the operators who provides the liquidity for withdrawals needed to stake around 1 BTC. But BitVM-3 changes this so that we can have zero operator collateral, nearly zero BTC, thus making being an operator much easier. And also BitVM-3 is much more simpler and elegant than BitVM-2. And by changing to BitVM-3, we also simplified the bridge architecture a lot. And yeah, it's done. We're gonna publish technical write-ups and the implementation open source soon. yeah, that's it.
Since it's live in mainnet, what kind of like use / adoption have you been seeing?
So adoption has been not quite so good so far, but we're also working on new applications that we're gonna announce hopefully soon. So we'll keep you posted.
Gotcha. Cool.
Any questions? Otherwise, like same for you. If you want to share any links, please feel free to do so.
I would like to share the links, but where do I share the links?
I'm
just.
I have no idea. Usually there's a thread associated to every Twitter space. I've seen it in other spaces, but I'm not
Okay.
Put them in an Operaton.
For now, I'm just code tweeting your announcements tweet, Robin. It has a link to an end-to-end test of our new bridge where you can inspect every transaction on mempool space.
Sweet. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for presenting.
Thank you.
Since Julian is on the stage already, like he's already a speaker, maybe you go next and share a bit what you're working on regarding. Oh, there are two questions. BitBox, do you want to speak?
Yes, I wanted to speak just because it's a little bit late here, but I can go after Julian, no problem.
Oh, yeah, right. Like we prioritize the Europeans. If you're European,
yes, I'm European. I'm European, but I can
Okay.
speak after Julian, no problem. We're just going to be 10 minutes for sure.
Sure. Okay, this is not working. It looks like incredible.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm also European, so well, I'm Julian. Thank you for bringing me up. I've been working on script restoration, which has already been mentioned a couple of times here, which is pretty cool. And yeah, maybe wanted to start with something that Liam said before. He had these two directions of how to get this verifier into Bitcoin. And the first one was to have this native, narrow, and very specific opcode, where he mentioned that probably this would be a big bike shedding issue because the field is still moving and we could probably not agree on which exact opcode or which exact verifier should be enshrined. So his second approach would be to add a more general functionality or programmability into Bitcoin. And yeah, this is really what script restoration is trying to do. And I think fundamentally, those are like two very different approaches to thinking about consensus changes. And yeah, most proposals, they seem to be very scared of adding more general functionality, and they really want the change to be as narrow as possible. Yeah, so script restoration is really kind of the other side, so kind of the opposite approach of that. Because I don't want well, the way I think about it is not really. I don't want you to focus on this restoration term too much, but it is really an idea or a set of protocol changes of how to make Bitcoin really programmable money. So this is kind of the basic argument or the fundamental thesis that that Bitcoin should be programmable money. And yeah, I'm not sure if this is controversial or anything, but I believe this is how Bitcoin is supposed to work, right? We have this very limited base layer. We want it to stay decentralized, so we have limited throughput. We have full transparency, so you don't have any privacy on your transactions. And yeah, I guess generally you can say that the base layer is really not optimal for this peer-to-peer cash vision that I think that Bitcoin should be. And so yeah, then people notice, and the idea was to have these second layer scaling solutions, right? And you can just look at the most relevant. The most relevant protocol is probably Lightning Network, which I think is super valuable for Bitcoin. And this was, of course, only possible because it uses some of the programmability that the base layer exposes. So the base layer really it enforces all the rules of the Lightning Network, right? So this what keeps it. It doesn't add any additional trust assumptions, and this is really what we want. And now with script restoration, really the idea is to take this kind of broken scripting language that Bitcoin has right now and really just think about it from first principles and try to build a coherent and well-rounded language. So this would add all kinds of basic primitives back into the language and really think from this general kind of software engineering perspective, how could we make the language usable? And I mean, for me, this is really, it seems to be kind of a more logical approach, especially you have here like the prime examples with Robin, for example. I feel like builders in the space and researchers, they are really working, they are really kind of blindfolded and they have handcuffs on and they are trying to build out their protocols ideas. And it's just really hard. They are trying to build around this very restrictive scripting language. And I believe instead Bitcoin should just provide some basic, very basic primitives, and it should just be programmable. Yeah, this is kind of the fundamental pitch. I can also go into some detail of the actual changes, but I've kind of rambled on here for some time already, so I will maybe give you the chance to respond or ask any questions.
I'm sort of curious, what do you view the sort of most important primitives that the Great Script Restoration, what are like sort of the fundamental primitives that allow people to do new things on Bitcoin post Great Script Restoration?
Right. So exactly, we're thinking about the primitives and not about a specific use case like a verifier, even though it would enable a lot of new protocols. So basic primitives for a stack-based language are just, or if you're like a software engineer, fundamentally you want to have, for example, a logical operation. So right now you cannot or XOR two elements in script, which is pretty ridiculous. You cannot multiply two numbers. You cannot change the individual stack elements, so you cannot just take a substring out. You cannot concatenate them, which seems to be extremely like a crazy idea to concatenate two elements. Yeah, so these are very fundamental operations. And then you also have an issue with the number type, which is currently extremely limited. So script restoration tries to make this big int argument that you have really kind of as much space. You could put the cryptography directly into script if you have like a 256-bit field or something like this. And yeah, just build around the stack language, right? We already have the scripting language. It is just kind of not really functional.
And is there sort of like an activation timeline being contemplated, or is it still in the, sort of building consensus, trying to figure out what to actually do phase?
Yes, right. So let me talk a little bit about what is actually being done here. So most of these ideas, they have been developed by Rusty, as you probably know. And so first off, there is this idea of a computational budget. So currently Bitcoin, it mainly has this block size limit to maintain the decentralization. And it also has this SIGOPS budget, which limits how many signature operations you can put into block. But you would really like to have a general computational budget such that if you have more expensive operations, they would actually not be a centralizing force, right? So this is kind of the first step. Then the second step is like really the restoration part, which is to restore these basic primitives and really like lay the foundation of the language. And then there are, of course, some more recent ideas, like transaction introspection is, of course, this whole idea around covenants it seems to be extremely useful, and many people would like to see that. So this is also, it should also be a part of making this language complete. And as you say, or as Liam also said before, it is really still kind of open which exact set of opcodes would really make the language coherent, as I said. So there is still some work to do. There are currently 2 BIPs published, and there should be 2 more BIPs which are in a very drafty state.
There is a GSR BIP already.
Yeah, there is a BIP 440 and 441.
I mean, what are the chances we get this merged?
Oh man, I would like to refer this question to someone who's been longer in Bitcoin than me.
Absolutely certain it's gonna happen. Like, there's no way it's gonna split the chain.
We only need 1% of the hash rate and we can get it.
Right.
I have a question. Is it called Grand Script Restoration, Great Script Restoration, or Grand Script Renaissance? Because I'm very confused.
Yeah, the most important question, of course. Well, I like this more recent idea. I think it's from AJ, which was the Grand Script Renaissance. But I feel like script restoration is kind of enough. And yeah, I just say it like this. And the BIP is also just called script restoration.
In Bitcoin Cash, they have this new opcode that allows you to define functions. Are there any similar ideas in Great Script Restoration?
Yeah, I would say this is like part of the last BIP, which really adds some new ops. It adds something that seems to be very obvious, like checksig from stack, for example, which some other proposals also include. But yeah, I guess this is part of the ongoing research. I mean, function, it looks like they do add a lot of complexity to the scripting language right now. Even after this restoration part, it is quite a simple language, I would say. But then if you add this completely new idea about function, I don't know, you would have to think about, do you want to do that recursively? Can you call other functions within functions and so on? So I would like actually to have people think about this issue. And you're probably thinking about it. So it depends kind of what people would like to have and how much complexity and well, you kind of have to find a balance. I guess the whole proposal is already pretty comprehensive, so I guess you could argue that this might be something like a follow-up change for the future. But the idea is to have like kind of as much as possible into a single change. Yeah.
Wouldn't adding functions mean that analysis of the cost of transactions becomes undecidable in general?
I mean, the computational costing.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that depends on if you allow for recursion or not.
Well, it would be harder to statically analyze that for sure. But it is already, because the stack elements are so variable. And I mean, you can simply just run the script interpreter and just check how much your script costs, basically. And I think adding functions shouldn't change that.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know if there's someone from Bitcoin Cash here. I think I saw Jerry here.
There is someone from
so I don't know, maybe they have something useful to say about it. I haven't thought about this idea of macros or reusable functions too much, but as long as it fits this general first principle approach, I think it fits into the idea of script restoration. Yeah.
Oh, hello. Yeah, we did do this in Bitcoin Cash. Pretty much everything that you were just talking about with great script restorations, big ints, multiplication, introspection, tokens. There's actually a project, I heard you guys talking about ZK proofs earlier on chain. We've been running an ongoing experiment at verifier.cash. to implement a Groth 16 verifier in Bitcoin script, in Bitcoin Cash script. I don't know what the current frontier is. It's something like, I think 80 kilobytes or something is like our smallest proof right now. I'm going to look it up right now. Oh, 77 kilobytes is our smallest BCH native verifier now. That is actually consensus valid, and you could broadcast that on chain today on mainnet. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say it's worth looking into how expressive Bitcoin script can be if you were to pursue those things.
Looking at the verifier.cash leaderboard, I see that the model, the LLM is credited. The LLM that found the verifier is credited. Is that sort of how it works? Like you have different LLMs, like coding agents grind on how small they can make the verifier?
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty fun. It's kind of fun because I didn't really know anything about like Groth 16 or like how a ZK proof actually worked, and so really I just did /goal in my codex and just let GPT Soul work at it, and I had like 5 usage resets or something, so I just threw them all at this. And yeah, it did some work. It was very impressive. And you know, as I'm reading the outputs and whatnot, I start kind of learning some of it along the way. So it's a very interesting challenge, and it's very fun.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I think that you know, I think that there's been a lot of antagonism between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, but at the very least, I think Bitcoiners should be curious about what is going on that chain, if only because the technology is very similar. And so if you're interested in, you know, what kind of primitives you might want to deploy on a UTXO based chain, what modifications to Bitcoin you might like to make, you know, it is interesting to look at, right? You should look at it as sort of like a, you know, just ignore the haterade or whatever. And at the very least, look at it as like a very interesting test bed, because, you know, the Bitcoin cashers, they're out here doing things. They are out here doing things, all right? They are in the arena. They're very in the arena, all right? Whereas a lot of Bitcoiners are sort of in the like pre-doing things like BIP's arena, you know, and it's kind of like a different arena. So yeah, it's very good as a reference point.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout out. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, there's definitely a lot of tension between the communities. I know that in my history in Bitcoin Cash, we've had to kind of focus on positivity and, you know, whatever. We're just kind of in our own lane now. So I don't find value in like, you know, if somebody's being retarded to me, okay, like we'll have a fight, right? But, you know, you come into a space like this, you know, where people actually have ideas and want to talk about the technical aspect, and it's just a way different environment. Like this is what I really value. So yeah, thanks for letting me talk about it.
I have a question. Do you have any like cautionary tales? Like, for example, like things that you tried that like really did not work that would be good to like know about and learn from? Either things that you tried or things that Bitcoin Cash as a whole tried that turned out to be ultimately like sort of bad ideas?
All right, let me caveat that answer before I get into it, because I guess I have to kind of give a little premise on my history in Bitcoin. So I got my first Bitcoin in 2011, but I was fresh out of high school then, didn't know shit. So I think would officially I'm a 2021 Bitcoin Casher. I kind of bypassed everything else, went straight into Bitcoin Cash. I think in that history, the main thing that sticks out actually is there was a big crisis in 2022. We had a token system before cash tokens called SLP, and they were op-return based tokens. I think that's similar to your guys' runes or something. And basically there was a stable coin issued on there, and we found out that op-return tokens don't actually scale because you need an external indexer, and then keeping track of the state for all of those tokens just like ends up bloating up to like pretty much imperformant levels. Like it just doesn't work. So there was this exchange and it blew up. They were the sponsors behind this token. Yeah, that was the whole Roger Ver claimed to like lose like $40 to $80 million in 2022 thing for some of the OGs who were around back then. Yeah, so big mistake with SLP. It just doesn't scale. We went with cash tokens instead, state bearing UTXOs effectively. Just one little addition to the UTXO data. And now you can define a fungible or a non-fungible token, and it's now miner validated, so you don't need the indexer anymore. It just ends up scaling way better. So I think in the time that I've been in, another one I just thought of is Smart BCH. Actually, around the same time period, we tried to have a EVM sidechain effectively, but the bridge was custodial. Actually, that was directly related to the Coinflex. Oh man, yeah, the memories are coming back. So yeah, I would say SLP tokens were a bad idea, and custodial bridges are a bad idea, and EVM is a bad idea.
Nice. Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, like it's you learn things when you run them in production, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of the other pitfalls that like we could have run into, like for instance, we could have had like a naive implementation of cash tokens. Like we were working on some stuff like it was called like op group and like some other stuff. The research was ongoing before I was in. But it's kind of a testament to, well, our parallel to BIP is called CHIP, Cash Improvement Process, but it's more formalized, I would say, and it's we don't have like a central CHIP repository or anything. So I would actually say some lessons learned there because of the two other splits that we've had with BSV and with eCash. Yeah, there's too many eCaches, right? So that kind of had to have us improve our governance quite a bit. A lot of people have contention with like proof of work as a consensus model. They don't necessarily think that it works as a governance model because it's effectively not one, but I kind of disagree with that.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but you have to take into account that there is still like lots of people in the Bitcoin community that suffer from PTSD, from like the from the scaling wars, and so we might like keep the Bitcoin Cash part like.
Yeah, my bad. I don't want to like step on any toes or any. I seriously also tend to ramble, so feel free to cut me off anytime. Yeah, I was just reflecting on like challenges that we've had, because I guess that was the question. And yeah, like I said, I tend to ramble, so my bad.
Yeah, but thanks for sharing. I find it very interesting what you guys are doing with like Bitcoin Cash script. What's it called? Like your flavor of Bitcoin script. I'm really amazed by like what you can do with it, and I think we should take inspiration from that and adapt some ideas and bring them to Bitcoin. Actually, Julian, do you have anything else to share?
I can give you a very quick rundown of what I'm doing now, but I will make it quick. So I'm trying to get these published BIPs into Inquisition. So I hope there will be some experimentation and some more research related to that, some feedback, and yeah, in general, I would really appreciate feedback or any questions. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. I'm very excited about great script restoration and the renaissance of Bitcoin script. BitBox.
Hey there, can you hear me? Great.
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, let me introduce myself. Yeah, I'm Paco from BitBox. I do marketing and translations here, so I'll be representing the company for today. Just wanted to talk about our upcoming Lightning wallet. It's been in the works for almost 3 years, and we were never happy with anything. So yeah, for the first time, we're bringing Lightning to a BitBox, to a hardware wallet. Than the other company that has already brought it to production. Okay, so at the start we tried with basically everything. We tried with Blockstream's Greenlight. It was kind of a good model, but ended up being like too slow and stuff. And then we looked into LSPs, we looked into ARCs, but then we ended up settling for Spark, because it's the best option for our use case. But yeah, we are going to maybe launch it at the end of this summer, but we are not completely sure yet. But it's going to start just as a beta. So if anyone has any questions or want to know a little bit more, just let me know.
What is Spark?
So it's kind of a state chain. Is a protocol. It's just a Bitcoin layer 2 with feel not completely sure most people if they have unilateral exit, and that's why we're putting it in beta, because we don't want to marry any protocol, and yeah, we don't want to marry any protocol, and we don't want to risk our users losing any funds. So yeah. Oh yeah. One detail I forgot to mention is that the Lightning wallet is going to be derived from your private key, so you don't have to keep multiple keys. Just a BIP85 key that comes from your key, and it's going to be encrypted in your phone, in the TPN chip.
And how do you protect the user from, if they're offline, detecting a sort of hostile channel close that tries to publish old disadvantageous state?
Oh, that's the thing with Spark. Like, you don't need channels. It's basically a state chain, and you do atomic swaps with the state chain. So it has a little bit of a trust assumption, but we think the trust assumption is good enough for people to have money in and out of Lightning, to receive on Lightning and then send it to their own hardware wallet, and then to send from the hardware wallet to Lightning and then get out pretty easily. So yeah, no channels at all.
So the user's funds are sort of on the state chain, and then they do atomic swaps in and out to make Lightning payments or receive Lightning payments that atomically swap into their like state chain funds. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yeah, exactly. That's actually the way to think about it. And they don't need a channel state. They don't need any channel backups or any of that. That's kind of the problem we run when trying to like LSPs, nodes in the cloud, and that kind of stuff. Because if the user just wants to like have the Lightning wallet on a different device, it simply implodes.
And I assume that the wallet can also do on-chain Bitcoin, right? Or
yeah, of course.
And what would you say are there any like interesting like advantages or UX improvements that you guys are trying to make just on the Bitcoin hardware wallet side?
Yeah, so the thing is, compared to others that I have tried it, most have tried to have like you have to sign Lightning transactions with your hardware wallet, which is a pain, and we don't want that. We want the Lightning wallet to be a spending wallet, but in the same app and using your hardware wallet's native app. Okay, so instead of going to multiple applications, you can just have one. And we are still like thinking of more features to that, but so far it's just going to be like a basic sending and receiving Lightning wallet that you can swap in and out to your own hardware wallet, your own BitBox.
Got it. Interesting. And what have been the big challenges for development so far?
Lightning itself. Lightning it's complicated. So we tried everything, and we put everything on a balance. And yeah, it was doing a lot of research because we were not happy with the UX. The UX of Lightning natively is terrible. So you have to do a lot of stuff. So like there are so many moving parts that anything can go wrong at any moment, and it usually does. But now with Spark, it doesn't happen that much. Well, it doesn't even happen, but you have now a little bit of trust that you didn't have before.
Gotcha. Interesting. Anybody have any questions for BitBox?
So is this just a BIP85 key?
Yeah, yes, just a BIP85 key. It's deterministically derived from your private key, and it's stored in your TPM chip on your device. So it's a hot wallet. So the Lightning part is hot, while your hardware wallet fonts are cold.
So you can import any BIP85 key you want for your wallet.
Could you repeat the question, sir?
Can you import any key you want? So you can import a seed from any other wallet or just from BitBox?
Just from BitBox right now. It's derived from your BitBox's own private key. But so far in the prototype we have, you can export your keys to any Spark wallet and it works.
Right. So it's kind of like a Bull Bitcoin, or there's a few others doing Spark wallets that use a BIP85 key from a different wallet. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. We think it's the right approach because it's secure enough, but it's convenient enough as well.
Yeah, Spark is great.
I have a question. When will BitBox make use of that SD card and let us do air-gapped signing?
That's up to discussion. No times. Keep waiting.
All right, nice. BitBox, any final words for us?
Not really, just guys, stay tuned. Reach us out if you have any questions. You can just hit our DMs or our support channels if you want to know more, and we will be letting you all know about this wallet when it's finally released. But yeah, we wanted to have it by the end of summer, maybe, but no promises.
Hey, BitBox, would love for you to come to TapConf in October if you can, and show us what you got.
Well, hit us on the DMs. I might respond to you later. Okay, thank you.
Cool, awesome, thank you. Robin, who's next?
NVK wanted to speak.
Do you guys want to hear about ARCA?
Sure,
Yes.
What's ARCA?
Okay, so this is not a Bitcoin protocol. This is not just for Bitcoin. This is a problem that us cypherpunks getting crusty and older have. So, everybody sort of like has all these keys, have inheritance plans, have all this digital information, right? And like, I personally have a ton of this stuff, and right now I have the setups, geographically distributed, letters with lawyers, all kinds of like absurd shit, right? And we're like, okay, how can we resolve this? The way that we resolve like Bitcoin security ColdCard, right? And we always wanted to make a network product, but secret should be air gapped, right? And we figured, hey, like what kind of secret has a different boundary that can live in a device that's connected, given that the device is like secure enclave, secure enough, right? So we went on to design a piece of hardware that essentially it can store, most of your secrets in a secure enough way, and you don't have to trust the hardware availability and the hardware sort of resistance to being, say, destroyed or broken, because you can replicate the hardware, right? So it's essentially a box that has a very hardened, secure design. You should have more than one. So you have one in your, like a North American residence, you have one in your other residence, you have one in your mother's house, you have one in your friend's house. Maybe your friend has a tenant for you. And the data is automatically mirrored over Tor between the boxes. So say, for example, you're using your Cove app wallet, right? and there's that really annoying screen after you say, like, it's like, can you back up this seed I just generated for you, right? And you go like, okay, I have like 50 of these wallets, right? What if there was a way for you to just press a button? The app has already shared a share handshake with your ARCA, knows the ending address of your ARCA, and it just drops the secret in the ARCA. So you can have any app, hardware, whatever you want to drop secrets into this ARCA. And then the secrets are stored, very encrypted. It's very paranoid. It's like, it's like the ColdCard sort of dance of secure elements plus trust zone. We forked FreeBSD into embedded hardware that we like. And the ARCA is encrypted by a BIP89 seed, so you can have your ultimate source of like key backup in a metal somewhere. The ARCA can also generate BIP85 keys, so you could reduce your backup volume and exposure by using the ARCA. And then you can store your secrets that you need your family to have when you die, because there's a dead man switch in there, that kind of stuff.
Oh, it was getting played off.
There was music playing.
NVK, that sounded kind of epic. I thought you were just going to keep going, like you were just on a roll, just background.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty exciting because it's like it's the final retardation of a cypherpunk product. Like it really is a next level thing.
I think I'm sort of having trouble understanding what it does. Is it a backup? Is it a backup of small secrets kind of product, or is it a backup of large amounts of encrypted data kind of product?
So it's for small amounts of data, just like gigabytes, maybe a few terabytes if you put SD card, and maybe there's going to be an option for external drive, but it's a completely new category, right? Like there is nothing like this for consumers. You'd have to spend $100,000 on a Thales HSM for you to have this kinds of like security boundaries and be able to put it on a network. So it's a consumer device for people that have to have secrets, digital secrets, backed up and available to them anywhere in the world, even if a box failed, for example.
And maybe you could, maybe it would help my like intuition. What are some sort of concrete use cases that you imagine this being used for?
So the dead man switch is very important, right? I want my family to get stuff that I don't want them to have access until I'm dead. And that's for their own security, right? Business continuous. So between our own business, like, if one of us gets hit by a bus, there's keys that we don't necessarily want to have, but we want our coworkers to have in case we die. There is the backing up of wallets, right? So all these app wallets, Lightning wallets, shitcoin wallets, like you have either seeds or other types of like private key material that you need to store somewhere. These are not like your life savings, so it's very easy to just like send it to your ARCA, and it's it's an encrypted tunnel between the wallet and the key material, right? So it just goes into a Dropbox inside your ARCA, and then it's like mirrored, and you have it availability anywhere you want to recover later. There is a ColdCard in there as well, software-wise, so you can co-sign things remotely. So you can do multi-sig, you can do CK bunker, you can do CoinJoin. If you have if you're crossing to the LLM sort of insanity side like us, you can have your agents have access to specific tenants where they have a subset of keys for them to use. It's everything you ever wanted as a consumer to have secrets, private key material available to you online in a secure way.
If you for the inheritance use case, how do I? Let's say I have just like a Bitcoin wallet and I want my my wife to get it after I die. How do I designate my wife as the successor? Like how do I make it so that she gets it I sort of understand how like a dead man switch kind of thing works, right? Like I log in every few months, and if I don't log in after 6 months, it goes, okay, Casey's definitely dead. But then after I'm dead, how does it make sure that it goes to her and not anybody else?
So there's a multiple ways to design your inheritance in the ARCA. So one way is a very simple way. We generate a key, right? That is only enabled when you no longer have proof of life, right? By checking in with the box. So, for example, you can leave that key with a lawyer. You can leave that key with anyone because that key is not really available, right? Like it's not going to work if you try to use that key. Assuming that you even have the address, the onion address for your ARCA. So you can leave that key for her somewhere that she'll get it, say a safe deposit box or something that has some chain of custody. And then when she gets that key, you're no longer like checking in. The ARCA will allow that key to work. We're also going to let you sort of create like pre-generate instructions for the person. So that's one way. Another way is to create a tenant. Then the tenant gets access to the other tenant. You could also create a subset of keys for her that sort of give her partial access to some things. Because for example, if you're doing multi-sig, right? If you have a multi-sig wallet, you could make it so that she gets an extra key of that of key, so that you don't even have to ever expose your personal key to sign the multi-sig. That's sort of like some of the ways you can do it. We're letting sort of like the design space be more dictated by the user with some sort of wizards on how people set up.
Cool. Awesome. Chris, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask why it's called ARCA, but in the meantime, I looked it up. It's Portuguese and it means arc or chest. So yeah, cool name. Does CK Banca in the meantime support miniscript co-signing?
That's a good question. That's an Andre question. He maintains Edge. I can't remember if CK Bunker does it. I think it was fairly integrated with P2SH. I don't.
Yeah, it didn't used to. Like, it's like it's a Peter thing probably. But yeah, really like looking forward to having a co-signer permanently online and with like miniscript capabilities that would solve a lot of my issues.
I mean, the ARCA is going to push us to have some more of that stuff available, so that you and Rob, which are the only two people in the world who use miniscript, can do it.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, big fan of FreeBSD. Looking forward to it. What's the price point?
It's right now, I think one is like $650 or something like that, and then sort of it drops a bit if you buy a bundle of a few.
Excuse me, Bitcoin is money. I only know what Satoshi. What is 650? 650 Satoshi?
I don't do Satoshis, man. I'm too old for that. I'm a whole Bitcoin kind of guy.
0.0001 Bitcoin coin join.
Thank you, Michael. So yeah, I mean, if anybody has
NVK, I'm kind of upset. You failed to mention the third major use case of miniscript, which is puzzles that I make.
There is that, yes. You can also do puzzles for a Bitcoin conference in Georgia. I'm kidding. Miniscript is great. There's also Liana doing miniscript stuff.
So you're pretty damn excited about this NVK?
Yeah, man. It's like, it's a bit less academic, like a lot of interesting things happening in Bitcoin. But I have like real life problems to solve. Like I need things to sort of like upgrade my personal life and security and my friends and family, and it's nice to have something online.
Going forward, how flagship do you think this is for your company?
I kind of like don't care in a way. Sorry. This first version we're making a batch. It's the Founders Edition, so it has 3 power supply options as backup. We're kind of going full kitchen sink there. it looks like it's having more interest than I thought. So we doubled the first batch. If if it becomes a bigger thing, we cost optimize a bit and make it a little bit more ready for larger production and run with that. But I think that it's like the reality is that as the world progresses in advancement, everybody has private key material to hide and secure, right? Everybody's government is turning more dystopian. And everybody's going to have the same problems that sort of Bitcoiners had to deal with. So it's you got to keep secret and you got to keep secret secure. So it's like how.
Is it just me or is he
Yeah,
cut off?
NVK is calling us from North Korea. His internet connection is running to problems. The great leader has cut off NVK from the internet.
Yeah, North Korea doesn't like this tech NVK.
All right, then maybe since we are currently in the topic of like self-custody, CoinJoin could share a little bit about BitSurance.
Oh yeah, I can do shilling. So yeah, BitSurance, we were the world's first Bitcoin self-custody insurance. So if you want to insure your Bitcoin in Europe, we can cover it against $5 ranch attacks. But we also like a fully licensed insurance broker Europe-wide. We currently do data center insurance. We can do electronic insurance for your miners or interruption insurance, stuff like that. And we offer insurance that you can pay in Bitcoin, which also I think was the world's first. Like we sold international healthcare payable in Bitcoin. People that might be digital nomads and are living on a Bitcoin standard no longer have to exchange Bitcoin for fiat to pay for the required insurance. With BitSurance, you can contact us. That's all the shilling. I'd rather give time if we're on the self-custody topic. Maybe Aeon can come up and talk about his entirely vibe-coded wallet, which I'm a fan of. But I do also self-custody with Citrea, but it's just a steel plate. So nothing special.
I'm actually sort of curious about how do you manage to offer secure insurance on self-custodied Bitcoin? If I was an insurance provider and somebody was like, hey, give me insurance on my bearer asset that, if I fuck up my custody just goes zoop across the internet, I would be very, very afraid to offer insurance on such a thing.
Yeah, with all insurance, it's a risk calculation. So my buddy Rob Hamilton over at AnchorWatch is also in the audience. They insure vaults up to $100 million worth of Bitcoin by having a mini-script multi-sig out of a multi-sig. So during the policy, they are a co-signer. BitSurance, we currently insure 500,000 euros worth of Bitcoin. So it used to be 5, now it's 10 Bitcoin. And we don't have any key, so it's entirely in your self-custody. And we protect against basically insurance fraud by insuring only like in Germany and Switzerland, countries where people would not probably commit insurance fraud and look over their shoulder for the next 10 years for these rather small amounts. But it's entirely part of the calculation. And if you look at the specialty insurance, so for instance, BitSurance, our first insurer, underwriting all policies is Liberty Mutual, the 5th largest specie insurer in the world. They underwrite fine arts, wine, wine collections, Valoren, as in jewelry and watches and gold bars in your house. All of these things are much easier to pretend to have had a boating accident. I can melt a gold bar, I can sell my Patek Philippe watch, and if nobody takes it back to a jeweler that authenticates the serial number, it's really, really difficult to recoup. Whereas with Bitcoin, there is a certain element of traceability, and of course we have swaps and coin joins and mixes, and I'm very well aware of that, and it's part of our strategy, and we like are equipped and ready for cases like that. But yeah, in my purview, like from the perspective of an insurance company, I'd rather insure Bitcoin than anything else, to be honest, because it's so transparent. I know the exact value at the time of the insurance claim. I can trace it to a certain degree. I can even time lock a UTXO. I cannot time lock a gold bar. And yeah, when we started in 2020, like nobody was touching that subject. Nowadays, it is much more welcome and easier to talk to insurance companies about it. And yeah, it's just another need that people have, and the gap in coverage is currently being closed by BitSurance and AnchorWatch, I think.
And are there any requirements or restrictions on the kind of self-custody? So for example, like, oh, we'll only insure it if you use a hardware wallet, or only insure it if you use multi-sig, anything like that?
Yeah, so currently the single sig has to be like on a hardware signer, so a Trezor or a BitBox. For instance, in the BitBox, we are directly integrated, we are embedded. It's really easy to onboard through a BitBox hardware signer. And the larger sums, we're currently devising policies to also ensure sums up to 10 million euros or Swiss francs. And there then we require a multi-sig, where we also help in the onboarding and the setup, because we usually deal with family offices and small, medium-sized companies. And that is the first foray into multi-sig. And there we work with time-decaying setups. And currently also exploring how we can work with the FrostSnap devices, which I think are rather, a great fit for key shares or like for institutions where several people have a key share, and sometimes these people are replaced. And with Frost, the key rotation becomes much easier, and you have the same security.
And do you also insure against user error in addition to wrench attacks?
So it is difficult to prove that. So we can't insure against people like forgetting their password. We can't insure, like it goes into the cyber direction if you were to insure like social engineering or like the pig butchering, where people purposefully send Bitcoin to some North Korean guy pretending to be a hot Spanish lady. Like these kinds of things, they are excluded from our coverage. Like if you're interested, like our IPID or insurance, a proposal, the terms of service are on our website, and also always happy to talk about it. And user error, I don't think there is an insurance that touches these kind of things.
Got it. Interesting. Let's see, Robin, who's next?
Very cool. Thanks for joining, Chris. We have Vic here, like the founder of Cake Wallet. I'm very curious to hear about what's new about Cake Wallet these days.
Hey, Robin, how you doing? Sorry, I know you just sent me a message and I jumped on. I guess Seth had to leave, but I stepped away from my dinner to join. This is just a shilling session. Just talk about ourselves. Cake Wallet. I mean, as you guys know, we started building in 2017 and launched in 2018. Since then, we've gotten well over 2 million users. I'm really proud of the stuff we've done in Bitcoin, especially with silent payments and pay join version 2. Even this.
Just for the people who don't know it, what's special about Cake Wallet? How is it different than other wallets?
Well, I guess lots of things. I mean, we were the first ones to put in silent payments. I think we were the first or second to put in pay join version 2. So Cake Wallet, I mean, when I designed it. We're privacy focused, but even more than that, when I decided to build it in 2017, it was to make crypto easy for the non-techie people. So I used to joke around back then. It's built by noobs for noobs, and jokingly I said that should be our tagline. But really, it was you can download an app and in very, very few clicks, and I even had a number of clicks in mind that you need to press to get up and going. And I think that philosophy worked. I mean, in the beginning, people used to say, wow, Cake Wallet is so easy to use. Of course, with all the features we've added now, it's probably a little more complicated. But yeah, I mean, It's a multi-currency wallet, self-custody, works with a bunch of hardware wallets. It's got a lot of features for privacy, not just for Bitcoin, but other coins as well. We just put in Lightning, I know, which is controversial. I saw on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, but 500,000 people have gotten their own Lightning names already, and are using it daily. So that was fun. But what's new for Cake Wallet? I mean, we don't disclose stuff we're doing, but I will right now. I mean, for the rest of the year, we want to focus on desktop. I know we've kind of neglected that. We've kind of just given the mobile version as our desktop app, and it's not great. We get it. So the second half of 2026, we definitely want to focus on desktop wallet and bring things like multi-sig into the wallet. First desktop, and then maybe move on to mobile as well. Yeah, just continue improving the experience of Bitcoin. That's our goal. We added Bitcoin accounts this year. Bitcoin accounts are on hardware wallets. So we just continuously trying to improve and get better and offer more features to our users. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I mean it's a simple, straightforward business model and service we're offering.
Have you integrated Lightning natively or
No, Spark,
with
Spark through the
Spark?
Breeze
Okay.
SDK. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense from a usability point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like,
Yeah, I mean, if you're waiting for something perfect to come along, I feel like no progress is going to be made, right? And I'm one of those people. I know sometimes I get attacked for saying this, but I think Bitcoin should be used. You should use it as payment, and Lightning is a nice, easy, simple way. And I think we've made one of the easiest ways to use Lightning through Spark and Breeze SDK. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to, right? User experience, and then people will use it. If there's something better that comes out tomorrow, I'll be the first one to switch. But right now, people are liking it, so it's working.
it's not great for privacy, but I understand that.
Yeah,
you want
to
build something that people can actually use, and usability-wise, it's the best option we have currently. I fully agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin layer 1's not private. It's all your transactions can be seen by a third party, right? So yeah. It's I totally get it. It's not a perfect solution, but it's something to get people moving and get them excited to use Bitcoin again, and it's very easy.
Cool.
Yeah. What else? I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm missing out. For the last 8 years.
Questions?
I was just going to say, for the last 8 years, it's been like go, add features, and just on this tear. And I think first time in 8 years, I feel, okay, we're like at a pretty good place features wise. And now let's improve. Let's improve the desktop. Let's continue improving the mobile wallet as well. Sorry, somebody had a question?
I'm not sure. I guess an obvious question is like, what do you think about Ark? Are you planning to integrate it?
I'm not going to say no. To be honest, I don't know much about it. That's more of a Seth question. But like I said, if there's new tools that the community wants or users want, there's some new tool that's comes out tomorrow that's better and different than what we're doing today, I'm all for it. I always say, to get into Bitcoin in the first place back in 2013, you already had to be an open-minded person to begin with, right? So I try to continue being open-minded to new tech and new opinions and new thoughts. So yeah, if Ark, if it's can be implemented and would give user a good experience plus some sort of privacy, why not? I'm open to it. I'm not tribal, as you might have seen from my tweets. I'm not tribal at all.
Which is smart, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's smart with just being open-minded. Why shut yourself off and just, to everything that's out there? It's the world keeps changing. I mean, this industry is only 15 years old. I mean, it's nothing compared to everything else out there. I mean, we're all very early. Things are, even 5 years from now, things aren't going to look the way they look today. Especially with the rise of AI, more people are able to build and change things and propose new things. They can go from ideas to actually execution, or at least demonstration. Um, so I think especially now you have to be open-minded.
True. Yeah. Any last words or anything any link you would like to share here in the tweet?
Yeah, I mean, cakewallet.com if you want to try downloading Cake Wallet. We came out with Radar Chat a few weeks ago. I don't know if you got a chance to see that. It's a Signal fork, although we're not allowed to say Signal. It's a it's a Signal fork, but it has Bitcoin Lightning Wallet built in. So while you're chatting with somebody, you can just boom, send them some sats. It's pretty cool. And the idea of that was,
I'm sorry to have to cut you off, but
I
like
know
we are
I'm
already
ranting
over
here.
time.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Check out Radar Chat. Check
but
out
yeah,
cakewallet.com. Follow me on Twitter, BitCront.NYC. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
I also recommend Cake Wallet. It's one of my favorite wallets. I've installed all Bitcoin wallets that I could find, and Cake Wallet is definitely one of my favorites.
Sorry, guys. Internet connection issues here, as you could tell.
Oh, yeah. We suspected you're in North Korea somewhere, geo-distributing your keys.
I mean, yeah, one of the countries I spend time in, unfortunately, is becoming such thing.
Somehow I've heard that before from other people too. James, you wanted to share your news about Ark. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, for sure. Is my microphone working all right?
Yes, cool. I can hear you well.
I work for Ark Labs, and we're building Arcades, which we call it an open execution engine for Bitcoin. And I think that's a bit of a vague term. Need to find something better. But it's like we have a system based on cosigners that allow people to build financial apps on top of Bitcoin. We're called Ark Labs, and there is this sort of idea of an Ark protocol, but I think it's important to note that like Ark in and of itself is more of just like a transaction batching technique. It's a sort of generic term like multisig. Doesn't describe, it isn't like a specification that we're kind of used to thinking about in Bitcoin. Like, like there is a specification for Bitcoin and for Lightning. Lightning and Bitcoin both are interoperable, whereas this whole idea of an Ark, a batch output, it's not interoperable with anything else. It's a silo that can apply its own rules. So Arcade, I would say like Arcade itself is it's best to think of anything that's sort of claiming to be an Ark project, including Arcade, Second, and Wavelength, as completely separate protocols, rather than all like one of the same family. The thing I wanted to talk about was what we're going to be launching soon, Arcade Script. But I guess I could give an introduction of sort of how we got to that point first, which is the whole idea behind Ark is basically a coin join. You have a centralized operator that is collecting inputs from multiple people and creating a single output on chain that with virtual unbroadcasted transactions representing ownership claims from different people. Anyone can broadcast on chain those transactions at any time to have a unilateral exit. And they can also spend from those transaction outputs an additional offline unbroadcasted transactions and instantly. It's to prevent like double spending, offline transactions without broadcasting them on chain and mining them. The operator is a cosigner, and well, yeah, that's basically the idea behind it. Like Ark is way simpler than I thought it was when I first began learning about it. It is just offline, unbroadcasted Bitcoin transactions. But what we at Ark Labs figured out is the same logic, the same encumbrances we're providing on virtual transactions, these offline transactions, ensuring that they're not double signed, double spent. You can use them to enforce additional logic on UTXOs. So you can, so we're basically enabling a bunch of new opcodes, pretty much everything in the Great Script Restoration to enable transaction introspection and.
What is the trust model of that?
Sorry?
That sounds interesting, but what is the trust model of that?
The trust model
that executes
of these sort of different opcodes?
Because you can't enforce it on chain, as far as I understand.
It can't be enforced by like Bitcoin nodes directly. But how these transactions work is you've got like your key, and there's a emulator key that is interpreting these additional opcodes. It runs in a TEE, and it will refuse. It cannot unilaterally move your funds, but it will also refuse to sign unless the transaction satisfies those opcodes. Actually, it's not technically opcodes. It's like a tweaked public key, I think, within a particular Taproot's like script leaf. But yeah, it's not. It's like trust minimized.
So basically, you have the TE enforcing.
Yes.
You have the TE enforcing the contract.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And is it just open-ended contract, or is it like between a fixed set of users?
Yeah, so it's with anyone who trusts our emulator or cosigner, or is like running their own emulator. And it doesn't only apply to these virtual transactions like within our subsystem kind of Ark thing. It applies to any on-chain output.
Oh, interesting.
So
emulate like your extended script on any UTXO. It doesn't have to be a Ark VTXO.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Of course, like it works a bit smoother, I would say, for now, with inside this sort of environment that we've created. But there's nothing technical that stops it from being enforced on chain, and we're doing several tests with making it work on chain. That's the sort of long-term direction that we're heading in, is making it completely agnostic, whether we're thinking of Ark more as like a module that people can opt into if they want to have fast transactions and decide when they want to gain mainnet finality. But it's not strictly necessary. If you're doing large transactions infrequently, where you want to just have mainnet finality baked in, it could just be better to put that directly on mainnet.
Makes sense, yeah. But it comes with a liveness assumption, right? Like if the server is shut down, then the contract.
Only the virtual ones. Well, I suppose, yeah. So if you're trusting a particular emulator, you can run it yourself, and we're building like an open. We've got the code for this emulator open source. We're wanting to make it as easy as possible to run in your own enclave, one of these emulators. But yeah, if you were to
just for me, if I got it correctly, like you basically sign a version of like the software of the emulator, and anyone can download it, and I can just set up an enclave with it, and then I can run that in my own enclave, and other people can check that the correct software is running, and then they just need to trust the enclave, or they just need to trust that I won't shut down the enclave.
Correct. Yes.
Or is it further that if I would shut down the enclave, they can spawn their own enclave? And
yeah, we are looking
like
into. I know I didn't look into the details of it. We are looking into ways where the enclave's keys can integrate with Frost in some way, like threshold multisig. So you can add different signers, and as long as you've got like a couple of them online, it'll work. And yeah, over time you could continue adding more to the point where all the original ones can be taken off. But yeah, for now it's the moment that you lock funds in the UTXO, you're sort of committed to this particular emulator.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess we have some cool recent integrations too. Bitrefill recently added Arcade as its third method ever of accepting Bitcoin. So first mainnet, then Lightning, I think almost 10 years ago, and then Arcade's the first one since then. We're pretty happy about that. Hodl Hodl integrated Arcade-based escrow for their trades with atomic swaps to Lightning. There's nothing really. There is no real reason that Hodl Hodl had to do that on Arcade instead of mainnet. All the logic in their escrow contracts can be done with TapScript, multisig, and time locks. But yeah, I mean, with Arcade, they sort of get our SDKs and faster, cheaper execution. And and Bolts, I think recently publicly launched their Arcade Lightning swaps too. I think already their USDT and USDC the stablecoin swaps, those are working too. We're seeing a pretty solid uptick in volume with people using that. So yeah.
I think there are questions.
So is it going to be easier to integrate this on my store, or is it going to be Lightning where it's practically impossible to do self custody?
Yeah, our system has no real direct integration with Lightning. It has like a similar relationship with Lightning that you would have with mainnet, right? You can create atomic swaps and have a provider like Bolts accept the Lightning payment and then fund this hash time lock contract that you can redeem from. We're trying to make the SDKs as simple as easy to use. I mean, you won't have to like run a Lightning node or have channels or whatever. You just you're inheriting it's not perfectly trustless accepting funds with like Bolt's integration, but then as soon as you do receive it, you can make a transaction getting mainnet finality whenever's convenient for you.
Do you have to handle liquidity in any way like Lightning? For inbound only is very difficult?
No. It's just like receiving on mainnet.
I like it.
Yeah, glad to hear. Any other questions?
I like it too. Aeon has another question, but it would be nice if you can keep it short.
Yeah, sure.
We already.
Yeah,
I was just gonna try and talk about my wallet.
Oh, okay. We are already over time. I guess first, James, thank you.
Thanks.
That was very interesting.
I'll post some links if anyone wants to see any more. How do I remove myself as a speaker?
I can remove you, but there's not more people waiting in line, so it's fine now. All right, we are already over time, and
yeah, we've been going for 2 hours and 25 minutes. Should we call it?
I'll make it quick.
I mean, Casey, if you gotta leave, you can leave, and I'm gonna stay another 10-ish minutes for the last two
Tough
speakers.
it out. All right, well, that sounds good. Cool. Thanks everybody for coming. I guess I will see everybody later on the internet. Take care.
Thanks for co-hosting this.
Thanks.
All right. Hubertus has texted me a couple times that it's already quite late in Europe. So maybe you go first and keep it short, ideally, for the other speakers.
No, sure, Robin. Thanks for taking care. It is, in fact, already midnight in Vienna, Austria. So just giving notice that we now have brought the Bitcredit Protocol on main chain since very cautiously at the end of last month. So it is available to produce what's essentially missing from an economic point of view on Bitcoin. And I was attracted to this space because you said it was going to be about Bitcoin as a money. And Casey repeated at the beginning. So this is about the real economy using Bitcoin, and which I realized from the talk was not much a big topic here. But so they shout out to all the Bitcoin circular economies who are currently trying to use all of this, which is being built in the real life, people earning and spending Bitcoin. So the Bitcredit protocol works in this vein, but not, let's say, doesn't start at the merchant level. It really starts at the producer level of commodities. Because as you know, most Bitcoin which is spent at merchants is converted immediately into fiat money. And the merchants don't continue the supply chain and don't order the goods in supply chain. And the reason for that is that this supply chains, they don't run on coin, they run on credit. Yeah, so if there is no credit, the production, the supply chains on which we are all dependent to buy stuff, food, clothes, housing, building materials, it just doesn't work. So what Bitcoin protocol introduces now is a new way of producing that without banks, just peer-to-peer with an open source free protocol. And essentially it works in such a way that I'll give you an example of what we're starting. So one of the first projects which we're now bringing onto main chain is a farming community in Guatemala. So these guys produce cocoa. Farmers, very small farmers, they can't get credit, and essentially what happens is there's some guys called coyotes, and they act just like the sound, which do have credit with the fiat banks, and essentially are able to buy the cocoa of these farmers for cents to the dollar. What they can do now with the new Bitcredit protocol is the farmers cooperative can now buy from these farmers against the so-called bill of exchange, which essentially promises to pay the farmers in a couple of weeks' time when the cooperative has done certain, let's say, fermentation, drying, and especially selling on the goods to the next layer in the supply chain, which is most likely a trader. So now the clue of the system is that instead of the farmer having to accept these cheap offers, they now get paid with a bill of exchange. And the so-called wildcat full nodes in the Bitcredit protocol can divide those bills of exchange into Satoshi size, let's say, snippets Obviously, you can't do that with a paper bill of exchange. You'd be destroying it. But cryptographically, it's absolutely no problem. So what we are doing essentially is we are creating a state chain, which ultimately ends on Bitcoin main chain in a special Taproot address when it finalizes, i.e., in this case, when the co-op pays. Now, this is not where it stops. Yeah. So the farmer having those snippets of the electronic bill of exchange get a new form of eCash. Some of you may know that Bitcoin has already two forms of eCash, Fedimint and Cashew. For Bitcredit, we had to develop a third type of eCash because it had to be non-custodial. Otherwise, we'd be in violation of banking law. So the farmers can spend this money at their local little shops. They're called tienditas in Guatemala. So now, instead of, so to say, being reliant on external Bitcoin tourists coming in, the local communities can actually earn Bitcoin themselves. And the clue of the system is that the cooperative now does the same thing. So when they sell to a trader, they're not reliant on taking any capital intensive one. They can take also, let's say, traders who have a higher value proposition, like specialty cocoa, yeah, that color, that flavor, that fermentation for that and that purpose. So they're getting much more value in these normally very poor countries, which are normally have a very, very bad negotiation stage, because what's happening is also the trader can pay.
Sorry to cut you off, but like we need to keep it a bit
Yeah.
shorter because yeah, we are already half an hour over time after 2 hours of space.
Yeah.
And there's 4 more people waiting to present. So can you give us like the short version and wrap it up?
No, I mean, essentially that's it. Yes. So we're doing this with, so to say, a new form of eCash. We built all this on Nostr. Essentially, that's pretty much it. So if you want to try it out, it's available free, open source on bit.cr, www.bit.cr, 5 letters. Free download. And if anybody is, so to say, really using Bitcoin as a money, which I realize not many people here do, but if you know somebody who may want to use Bitcoin as a money in the real economy, this is the stuff which makes it possible. So bit.cr.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I saw Buffer. You have been waiting for quite some while now to present.
Yes.
Bitcoin Space is the Space Protocol.
Yes.
I'm very curious about that. What's the Space Protocol?
Thank you. I'll be very quick. So yeah, I'm Buffer. Been working on Space Protocol, and so currently, like the solutions we have for naming on Bitcoin are like BIP353, which relies on DNS. Nostr uses NIP05, also DNS, and DNS is like a tower of custody. It's not self-sovereign. So the basic idea for spaces is that names live off chain, and we use Bitcoin to anchor trust. So you put like a bunch of names in a tree off chain, and you compute the root of it, and you make a commitment, and each name owner gets an inclusion proof, which is their certificate. It's irrevocable, and it binds their name to a public key, and they could use that off chain through a relay network where they could publish records and sign things with their name, such as putting like a Bitcoin address, a Nostr pub key, a Lightning address, or a silent payment address, whatever they want. And the people who are responsible for assembling those names into a tree and committing the root on chain are called operators. And to become an operator, you essentially become like a space owner. So we have an auction process on Bitcoin using Bitcoin scripts implemented permissionlessly. So anyone could bid on the top level spaces to become a space owner, and they could become an operator and issue handles that are off chain. And the name syntax is like so you get a handle similar to an email address, like Alice at Bitcoin. The top level is at Bitcoin, which is the operator that submits these commitments on chain, and Alice gets an inclusion proof to essentially get their certificate and use that off chain to like sign records and publish them. And we have I'm not sure, like I'm pretty sure we don't have much time, but if you want to like know more details, you could check out spacesprotocol.org. We have the paper. We built like SDKs in 7 languages, and we're launching the whole off-chain stack in like the next week, so that if you're a wallet developer or anyone interested in implementing self-sovereign naming, you could do that and like join us on like our Telegram group, and we're happy to like discuss more and help.
I wish you guys good luck, because I really want to see you guys succeeding, since it's getting complicated now. People have like on-chain addresses and Lightning addresses, and now Ark addresses, and maybe even like liquid addresses and like all kinds of addresses. And I don't want to care about that. Like, I don't want to explain that to anyone. I just want people to I just want to tell people, send me money to Robin at Bitcoin, and then everything gets like handled transparently in the background by the wallet. And that's like the future that I envision. And then that's why I love what you guys
Thank
are
you so
building.
much. Yes, I'd love for it to work too.
Sweet. So Peter, tell us about the other Ark implementation from Second.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm a developer at Second, so we are building the second Ark implementation. No pun intended. So we're basically just a payment first Ark. So everything that we've done has been focused on just accepting and making Bitcoin payments as simple as possible, especially Lightning. So we offer basically a one-click solution to integrating Lightning and just getting incoming Lightning payments without you dealing with the liquidity. We handle that ourselves. However, I think people are working on their own liquid to Ark swaps as well. So we'll see how that changes in the future. We went live on mainnet, I think technically nearly 4 months ago. It was private, and then about 6 weeks ago, we opened up publicly. It's been going really well. We've been working really hard since then, just trying to make it as robust as we can. We've got a couple of wallets, which I think are worth checking out. So, guys, I think Hampus was in the chat, was in the spaces earlier, but I don't think he's here anymore. He developed Blixt. So Hampus and Nitesh also made a Noah client, which is really good. It's been proving the mobile use case really well. So they do delegated refreshes that happen in the background. So the actual liveness requirements for the app itself is really low, because they can just wake up the app to do the work that needs to be done. And like I say, it's been proving to be really reliable. So that's exciting. I think really the main thing I wanted to talk about for this spaces was that I think everybody should go to templatehash.com. Stephen, who unfortunately isn't here to talk, has been working on a template hash version of Bark with a live server running on Signet now. So you can test out template hash and trustless refreshes that it allows Bark. And I believe Hampus and Nitesh are also looking to develop a mobile app, basically take Noah and just use the Covenant friendly version, friendly branch, I should say. So yeah, if you want to go to templatehash.com, play around with it, that would be good. If you just want to check out Noah Wallet, it's beta.noahwallet.io. And then we have another wallet, which is iOS only, called ARCA. I'm not sure if it's mainnet, but it's very... Sorry, go on.
I think it is.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's a really interesting one. Everybody's been talking about the design work that Christoph has done on that. It's a very, very unique Bitcoin wallet, certainly with onboarding. So, yeah, worth checking out. happy to take any questions or just give up if you want to move on to the next.
I already kicked most people off the stage, so I guess hardly anyone left who could ask questions. But if anyone has any question, otherwise we would say thank you. Also to you, I'm very excited about Ark, so I love to see it growing. And yeah, good luck with everything, and thanks for presenting. Next one would be Aeon. You vibe coded a wallet app, which sounds scary to me, but let us know what you're working on.
Well, yeah, it only sounds scary to people who don't understand that humans aren't really going to code anymore. It's going to be vibe coding is going to be coding by hand. Like the new term will be, you vibe code? Oh, why do you code by hand? You should just use an AI. Anyway, so yeah, people, always kind of put off by the fact that vibe code a wallet. But honestly, I made it for myself. I wanted a mobile wallet that kind of mirrored Sparrow, because a lot of the mobile wallets are really like newbie friendly and want to hold your hand and kind of help you out. And I was like, I just want a wallet that's bare bones, has all the options, has, you can do RBF, you can freeze UTXOs, you can do all that, but on mobile. So tried to build it last year. AI couldn't do it. Started building it in January of this year with the new Opus models, and it was one-shotting everything. And nowadays, it just one-shots everything. So it's a modular Bitcoin wallet. You can have it as a layer 1 wallet on chain, connect to your own Electrum node, built-in Tor, multiple wallets, and then it has layer 2 options. Modular layer 2. You can add Spark, you can add Liquid, you can add native Lightning. You connect to your own Lightning node over CLN or LND or Nostr Wallet Connect. Because again, a lot of these mobile wallets are like, oh, we're going to choose Spark. Oh, we're going to choose Liquid. And I'm like, you choose what you want. We got all 3 options. We're going to add Ark soon. We'll probably use Bark implementation. Liquid uses LWK. Spark uses Breeze SDK. On-chain Bitcoin uses BDK. So all the layers are, we're using well fleshed out libraries and well audited libraries. It's not like we're rolling our own anything. So no it's just me and fucking Claude or Grok now or Kimmy K3. It's just me. And it's for people who like power users who use Bitcoin every day, want like a straightforward, intuitive, easy to use wallet. Lets you customize everything. When you open the wallet, it's completely disconnected from everything. You have to set up your own Electrum server. We got a few in there if you want to use defaults, but you know, set up your own Electrum server. You set up your own API to connect to if you want to use mempool for pricing, or Block Explorer. You can connect to your own Block Explorer or mempool. Pricing, obviously API, you got to use mempool space, but we have an option to use their Tor or their onion address. Yeah, we have a lot of the Samurai security features. You can hide the wallet as a calculator, so you can kind of cloak, make it look like a calculator, punch in a secret code, and then it pops up the wallet. It's got the rest pin. It's got auto wipe features. It's got hearted metadata. So there was something recently with Signal, like OS getting your metadata from notifications in the operating system. So we actually hide a lot of the information that comes up if you have notifications enabled. So even your operating system's not seeing addresses or amounts that you're receiving. Has NFC support, has air-gapped QR signing, has a few different localizations: English, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese. Fully encrypted backups for the wallet if you want to restore it anytime. Coin control, chain swaps. Pretty much everything every other wallet has, but all in one wallet, and also modular, so you don't have to like get stuck into one choice. It's on my GitHub. Just go to my profile. It's on Zap Store as well, but yeah, it's on my GitHub through my profile if anyone wants to check it out. I don't care if you use it. I made it for myself. I use it. It's great. I know about 100 other people that use it as a daily wallet. No funds have ever been lost. I have $1,000 bug bounty out. If you want to get the bug bounty, go for it. Otherwise, thanks for hosting this. It's a great space.
Sweet, that sounds cool. I'm gonna check it out. If you want, feel free to share the link here in the tweet. And
yeah, I don't know how to get to the freaking. How do you get to that?
Yeah, good question.
I'm using desktop, so I don't have the app.
We're finding a lot of users now sort of holding their own wallets, like their wallet clients, not the signers. It's becoming a very common thing. People are sort of like, especially using BDK, de-risking a bit of that vibe coding work and sort of making something that works for themselves. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not cheap. I mean, the tokens add up, and I use mostly frontier models for all the backend stuff. And but I mean, I could have waited a year.
You should be able to do that at $200 a month or whatever is the max plan now.
Yeah, but you got to wait and stuff. And if I'd waited a year, it would have been probably free with one of the Chinese models. But I was getting tired of like all these other wallets adding nonsense features like price graphs to the main balance screen. Like, come on, give me a break. This is a wallet, not a trading app. So I won't name any names, but there's a few that have done that.
I've been trying to vibe code a wallet app like 2-ish years ago or something, and the AI used just a constant for signing. Like the nonce was always just 0.
It sounds like blockchain.info. That's how blockchain.info was. They use random.org or whatever, and then it went 404. So they were serving 404 as your as your key value.
Yeah. So that's why I'm a little bit
No, but
scared
it got a
of,
lot better.
wallet.
Like if you're using, I mean, I don't recommend people use Claude for anything really. Like the psychopathic model lies about doing the work. I am a GPT 5.5, maybe 5.6 is good too, but
yeah, honestly, Claude went downhill after 4.5, and yeah, it'll fucking
that's
lie.
right.
So I don't
No,
even
but
use Claude anymore.
5.6 it's incredible. I mean, like it doesn't produce bugs if you instruct it right. I mean, if you're using the right sort of framework, and it is absolutely incredible. It still does dog shit on embedded. Like it cannot, like these models don't have enough examples, I guess, and they were trained in embedded work, so it doesn't work for hardware. But for like computer software, phone software is absolutely incredible.
Okay, gonna try it out. Yeah, anything else? Or otherwise, we would continue with our last guest for today. Crew, how do you pronounce your name? Are you still here? Crew, CSA BIP 459. Okay, if not, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here because I gotta leave too. Yeah, thanks everyone for presenting. I really love this. Very, very cool to see what everyone is working on. I'm definitely more white-pilled than ever before, and I hope you guys too. And if so, this space was a great success. And yeah, maybe see you next time.
This was great.
Great
Thanks,
space.
everyone.
Thanks for putting
Let's
it
do
together.
it monthly.
Thank you.
All right, bye.